The second is the topic itself. Who owns the city? I think that's a topic that's very timely and one that I'm looking forward to hearing you speak about very much. And the third is that this is also an inaugural event for the Bachelor of Design program. This is the first time the BDes program has hosted a visiting lecturer, the first time to have a designer in residence, and so it's a very important beginning point for the Bachelor of Design program. For those of you who are visiting from outside the college, the Bachelor of Design program is the newest of the college's undergraduate degree programs. And it's a distinctly different program in that it's an interdisciplinary program. It looks at design from a variety of different vantage points and viewpoints. And the students who go through that program get a very good understanding of what it means to look at problems, look at challenges and opportunities from a variety of standpoints, all through the grid of how designers, how artists, how planners think about the world. And so it's a really great new addition to the college that is growing rapidly. So again, welcome. It's good to have you here. And I'm going to let Kimberly do the introduction to our speaker tonight. And afterwards, we need to give Osamu a good College of Design welcome.
I'm going to stand over here. So it's my pleasure to be here to introduce Osamu Okamura. As Mark said, he's our first Bachelor of Design designer in residence in the college. The BDes is in its fourth year as our interdisciplinary undergraduate generalist design degree, and we're very excited to host the lecture tonight. A lot of you are also my students in Architecture 222, and I appreciate that you're here. And this is a topic kind of out of sequence to what we're doing in 222, but I hope you'll see some of the relationships and the themes tonight. So Osamu is a friend of mine. We met each other 15 years ago during my first trip to Prague as a new PhD student with an interest in Czech architectural history. He was just leaving the university and starting a little bit of work as an architect. The first day that we met each other, he took me to visit the famous Cubist houses on the Vltava River in Prague. And I would say even now that given the choice to do anything, I think that he would like to be exploring buildings and discovering something new every day. So even when he came to the airport in Des Moines, since I know him, the first thing we did was we went straight to David Chipperfield's library and walked around and looked around, and this, I think, made you happy and feel comfortable. So in the intervening years that we've known each other, he's become a leading voice in the Czech Republic and even in Central Europe on topics of urban planning and people-centered cities. In this time, I came to Iowa State. I finished my PhD, and I published a book about Czech post-war architecture that's now widely known in the Czech Republic. So sort of converging here, my book just was published last week in Czech. And so I'm expecting a lot of conversation about it in the next few months that Osamu will be in on as well. All these years we've kept in contact. We've traveled together. He's been to Ostrava with me. We've gone to Slovakia together. And I always can count on him when I need something in Prague. He's also shown students of mine around. He's just an amazing contact and person to know. And so I'm just thrilled that he's here. So let me tell you a little bit about him in more technical terms. Those of you coming in now, there's plenty of seats down front, so just come down, no problem, you're not interrupting. So Osamu trained in architecture at the Czech Technical University, and he also has an interdisciplinary Master of Arts degree from the Academy of Fine Arts in Prague. For 10 years, he was editor-in-chief and the editorial coordinator for the architecture magazine Era 21, which is a leading Czech architecture and design journal. He is currently the program director for the reSITE International Conference and Festival in Prague. And the mission of reSITE, which he'll be talking about tonight, is urban planning strategies that focus primarily on public space, waterfronts, and urban mobility as a means to modernize a metropolis for modern citizens to compete regionally and globally. reSITE focuses on processes and solutions of people-centered cities and the balance between top-down and bottom-up planning. Some of the things that he does as a professional is that he's an expert advisor to the Metropolitan Sounding Board of the Prague City Council. He's an official certifier of the Czech universities for architecture, sort of like the accrediting agency. He's a member of the Board of Experts of the European Prize for Urban Public Space. He's an official nominator for the Mies van der Rohe Prize award, which is the European Union Prize for Contemporary Architecture. He teaches at the Architectural Institute in Prague, which is an English language architecture school. He's a frequent guest critic at universities in the Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Austria. He's also lectured widely in Europe and Asia. He's also been on architecture competition juries recently. He's helped to select the Czech and Slovak representation at the Venice Biennale for 2010, 2012, and 2014. He was on the committee for the Czech Architect of the Year Prize for the last 2 years and the Slovak National Prize for Architecture for the last 2 years. And because of all of this, which he will say is not much, and somehow he's modest about it, he was named last year to the list of the New Europe 100 Outstanding Challengers from Central and Eastern Europe. And this is a list of 100 outstanding individuals who have and continue to contribute to the rise of world-class innovation in Central and Eastern Europe. And this list was chosen by Res Publica with Google and the Visegrad Fund in cooperation with the Financial Times. So I consider this to be a kind of peer review of your contribution. So we're very happy to have you here. So please help me welcome Osamu Okamura.
Okay, hello. Does it work? Hope it works. Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Yeah? No. Hello. Yeah. Hello. Okay. Okay. Put it a little bit higher. That's good. Thanks. So good afternoon, everybody. Thanks, Mark, for introduction, and thanks, Kimberly, for nice introduction. So I'm very glad to be here and to tell you a little bit about what is the urban planning in our part of the world. And that's basically the Eastern Europe or Eastern and Central Europe. I'm coming from Prague. It's capital of Czech Republic that used to be a part of a Soviet bloc. And now it's becoming quite interesting spot for discussions on urban planning and urban development in, I would say, this part of the world. The title of lecture is To Whom Does the City Belong? Yeah, we believe that we should develop our cities in a way that future generations would find our cities better than we got them from our previous generations. And that's actually one of the main mottos of reSITE. That's the organization I'm working with now. But if we look in detail what's the demography of Europe and what are the demographic trends, you can easily see that it's not that easy to see the future very brightly, because you can see that the increase of population on it's the darker color is it's happening only in very few countries, such as Ireland or Turkey maybe, but and France a bit, but many other countries or most of the other countries are actually facing decrease of population. So the discussion about development of our cities is actually about how to sustain the cities, how to make our cities more efficient. In the same time, the habitable square meters area per person is increasing, so it doesn't mean that we don't need to build. Of course, we need to build, but the need to expand radically is maybe not the main issue. Yeah, so we are just learning now how to actually maybe shrink, how to increase the quality of life in our city so that the people could enjoy intense urban life without negative aspects. So in the last 20 years, all 22 bigger cities in Czech Republic, that's the country here in the middle, in the heart of Europe, what we say, faced decrease of population. Population reduction is a natural process and affects extensive regions, yeah, as well as whole countries. We were thinking before that it would be good to fight these processes, but now we think it's better to accept and anticipate these processes. This is Czech Republic as a, I would say, example of detail what's happening within the country. You can see that there are two trends. Green color represents decrease of population. It means the people are drained from the countryside, from landscape to the bigger cities. But in the same time, the very centers of the cities are also facing decrease of population because people are moving to suburbs. Yeah, these are these red rings around bigger cities. So it means there's double tendency. People just leave the countryside, and at the same time they leave centers of cities. Yeah, so we see this as a little bit dangerous trend. In very last years, we are speaking about little increase of population, but in a long-term perspective, the little increase is here. It's at the end of the first decade of new millennium. But when you see what was the population in the middle of the 20th century, it was still much higher. Yeah, you know, that's the effect of Second World War, when the large population, especially Jewish population, was killed, and German-speaking population was just moved out from the country. That's what the countryside looks like at the end. Many abandoned settlements are surrounding these actually spots. They are just kind of spots, empty churches, ruins of non-existing villages, and so this is the manifestation, physical manifestation of these trends you can see in our landscape. The kind of process of emptying of cities is also connected with the change of restructuralization of industry, for example, of the use of buildings. So many factories are being abandoned. This is a atlas, or I would say index book of empty, vacant buildings in the Netherlands. This was presented at the Venice Biennale about 4 years ago. And they've built a whole 1 million city of empty buildings that were just, this was kind of a catalog of buildings that are existing but are vacant in the very moment. The other phenomenon we are facing today is the preservation. You probably know that Rem Koolhaas is quite critical about over-preservation of everything in Europe, especially in parts that were not damaged during the Second World War. We have just very many historical monuments that are absorbing enormous funds from the budgets. We just are trying to keep up this heritage in a good shape, but in the same time, the life goes on, and we are thinking about how to redesign these buildings mostly inside, because they are not fitting well to the needs of the life today. And Rem Koolhaas says that this preservation becomes a political issue, and it's a question of political correctness. If this is really, if we can afford this in a large scale or not. And especially when most of the buildings are just envelopes, empty envelopes that were several times already refurbished inside, and they are just creating nice stage design for the public spaces, but it's a little bit fake history. Suburbanization processes are quite new for us in Eastern Europe. I think in the United States it's something very natural, and mostly what I saw from the airplane is that there is nothing than suburbs. But in our I would say traditional historical landscape, we have a dense network of quite compact cities and nature in between. And so this phenomenon, like new industrial parks that are being planted around cities, are somehow creating a new urbanity that is not very much welcome. Václav Havel, our former president, stated what was until recently clearly recognizable as a city is now losing its boundaries and with them its identity. It has become a huge overgrown ring of something I can't find a word for. It's not a city, as I understand the word, nor suburbs, let alone a village. According to Richard Bardet, we tried to design houses and organize cities, but in the end, a lot of people do it badly. Most of the things designed in the last 50 or 60 years are horrible. Successful cities are the ones that allow people to be what they want, declares Dejan Sudic. Unsuccessful ones try to force them to be what others want them to be. These are typical new suburbs, residential suburbs around Prague. In his insightful book, The Individualized Society, Polish sociologist Zygmunt Bauman claims that contemporary Western European society finds itself in a radically different situation than the one previous generations lived through. Nobody knows where society will head because everything is relativized. There is no single authority, no single aim with a single right way towards it. Every orientation is thus legitimate. According to theorist Jiří Sostroněk, this described reality also represents the creation and acceptance of social and individual values that are noticeably changing alongside the still valid basic values as health, safety, fundamental social securities. The need for autonomy in all areas of individual life becomes the highest value in the chain. Sociologists like Jana Temelová observe other phenomena that strongly advanced after the fall of communism, namely social differentiation and segregation. The more socially powerful citizens moved to new villa districts and attractive suburbs, leading to the expansion and further thinning of the city and creating greater pressure on the surrounding natural environment. This luxurious tower apartment project in central Prague, designed by quite renowned Czech architect Bořek Šípek. And this is one of the big developments. It's big park surrounded by residential towers. It works as a gated community basically. It's a big block, and it's a highly criticized project for gentrification. It's just full of luxurious apartments, and there was a big difficulty to sell these apartments at the end because the crisis came, and the developer went bankrupt, and then the city is just facing a big project. It's not very successful, and you can't do very much with it. On the other hand, this is actually typical detail of the fence of these rich settlements, and the edge of the Prague. This is a villa of a director of the energetic company, energy producing company. So these sensors, cameras, so a private street, It's very new for us because in the communist time, you can imagine that the society was was not that stratified. The people, the incomes of workers were quite on the same level as of higher educated people, and so it was very, I would say, equal society. And I think that's again quite different from here, I think, but people are quite sensitive to these moves now, and it's creating social tensions. Yeah. This is a project from Berlin, luxurious condominium. Germans, they like cars, so this is a special house designed that you can bring your car to your apartment with an elevator, and you can see it from your living room. So that's it's a car in Germany is a member of a family. So, and you can just enjoy your car all day long. And but in this neighborhood, it creates a lot of protests, and I would say socially oriented activists. They have bags with red paint and just throwing it on the house, because they really hate these kind of nouveau-ish gentrifying their neighborhood and increasing prices of real estate and services in their neighborhood and so on. On the other hand, there is a risk of an increasing concentration of poor citizens in the housing estates, especially in the cities struggling with high unemployment and social exclusion. This is northern Bohemia, northern part of Czech Republic, where there is a larger population of minority, Romani minority, and lack of job opportunities. And so these blocks are easily becoming ghettos. This from second city is Brno. You can have ghettos also in the older kind of urban tissue that is not modernistic, and still it's really a problem. So that's what I was speaking about. That's this tensions that we are facing. According to Sujic, we do not belong to a generation that has the shared face that the pioneer architectural modernists had when they chartered a liner to cruise the Mediterranean and drew up their vision of what the modern city ought to be, the Charter of Athens. They divided their ideal city into functional zones shaped by slabs arranged to maximize the sunlight falling on the ground between them. Theirs was a generation that was freed from the luxury of self-doubt. Ours is not, and that's why we struggle now when we try to think what cities should be. We have seen too many absurd urban utopias that were invented by the architects on that liner and propagated by a political system that measures success in the number of new buildings that it could deliver each month. In spite of this, as Leah Gillardi says, cities remain synonymous with opportunities for the millions of people. And while some cities grow bigger and experience economic prosperity, others shrink and lose importance. The economic competitiveness and vitality of cities is more and more often connected with collocations such as creative administration. Creativity thus becomes a driving force of economic growth. But are our cities capable of sufficiently developing the potential of their citizens and thus securing their future existence? At the same time, only cities can provide a sufficient environment for creating formal as well as informal networks, including the necessary cultural climate, the need to experiment and cross boundaries. Yeah, so this sign on the heart says, try it with love. This is a kind of a very basic architecture. It's a wall of people that is actually living barricade protesting against a march of right-wing parties through the center of Brno in Czech Republic. So like citizens of the city don't agree with neo-Nazi agenda of these people and just go out to the streets and build the wall with their bodies. So that's the very basic architecture in public space. This is street art from the wall in Košice. It says, "We are not afraid of the crisis." Yeah. It turns out that rigid planning procedures that establish prerequisite solutions created at a distance, such as static zoning plans, quickly become obsolete. These approaches often suffer from a separation from reality and an inability to adapt to rapid evolutionary changes. Members of the Raumlabor Berlin group, German architects, emphasize how important it is to reconnect professional planning processes with everyday life. This is a project in Neustadt. It's one of the smaller German cities. There was a one-factory city. All the residents of the city were working in this factory, and the factory went bankrupt. And they just people left, and that's the reality in many parts of Eastern Germany, that large numbers of the original population left for the western part, and they are facing absolute kind of decrease and radical decrease of population, and the cities are basically collapsing. This is another project. This is so-called Monumental Kitchen. It's a big bubble by Raumlabor Berlin. They just bring it to the city. This is kind of gray box they put in the space and blow the bubble. It's kind of it's not almost physical space. It's more, I would say, mental space that can be blown into problematic place, such is the space under this highway that is really difficult to use and causes often many problems in the city, attracts, I would say, drug abusers or homeless people, or garbage collecting there, and so on. So you can blow it where you want, and you can start experience and discuss what should be. The idea is that you just bring people together, because people are designing the city with their action. And if the people have no interest in a space or in a city, there is nothing going to happen. All the things were only that the space will deteriorate and will turn worse. So they were asked to cook their favorite meal for their neighbors and come and give the favorite meals to others and share. And that's how the discussion is starting. That's the connection with the everyday life. Actually, architect Louis Kahn, a great observer, interpreter, and city builder, said, "A city is the place of availabilities. It's the place where a small boy, as he walks through it, may see something that will tell him what he wants to do in his life, in his whole life." According to Sudic, a city is an à la carte menu. This is what makes it different from a village, which has little room for tolerance and difference. And a great city is one in which as many people as possible can make the widest of choices from its menu. We want to modify the role of the city so that it rests not in hierarchy but in equality. Its authority would then come from the ability to listen, claims Elisabeth Merck. That's Munich's urban planning officer. Munich is ranking on the top of the lists of most livable cities in Europe. I think that existing contradictions can coexist, and polarities, and thus enrich the creative processes of further urban construction. The understanding of our roles appears in the image of the city and in the way we handle it. If we want to approach new and authentic images of the 21st century city, we have to accept new roles and let the younger generation speak. We need architecture and urbanism that will once again allow us to find images in contemporary urban reality. After all, that is what the search for a home means for all of us. meeting our own inner images in our surrounding reality. We can't allow other participants to impose our own inner images on us. We have to try to create these new images open to the future by ourselves. This is kind of a informal space built in a town of Žilina in Slovakia. It's formed part of Czechoslovakia. And again, in the space of this huge roundabout modernistic infrastructure project, there was created a space from beer crates. Yeah, it was built by a local initiative as a space for discussion over culture and urban issues. I think these kind of spaces are exactly new incubators for thinking or rethinking the values in the city and importance of public space, how we want to use it, do we need it for what we want to do in this public space, why we need a city for our life. This is a embankment of Vltava River in Prague. You see the Prague Castle behind, and it's every year it's closed for a few days for a festival to let people experience what it could be like if the car traffic would be stopped on the street, so that the people can enjoy street life. This kind of a public breakfast. You can bring your breakfast, and it's all organized by local NGOs and activists in Prague. This is the event that is called To Experience the City Differently, Zažít město jinak. It's about 10th year now. It's a really large scale event, and it's organized by neighborhoods all around the city, and closing down streets, bringing businesses on the street, and seating, and a lot of creative actions. There's public reading by writers, and the artists are being involved. This is one of the biggest housing estates, Jižní město. There's the biggest housing estate in Prague, and again, architects are being involved in activism, like recreating the public space for the multifunctional kind of platform that could house discussions, concerts, exhibitions, and urban planning talks. The spiral ramp in Prague, a similar space, and this is the space we created as reSITE 3 years ago on the Vltava River bank. Instant park made of these platforms, industrial. We say palette in I don't know if it's an English word. Same word. Yeah, palette. Yeah, this kind of very easy to use, and it became very popular spot. You can see that these events are very well attended, and all the local, I would say, the local residents are taking part in these events, and it's connected with this do-it-yourself culture and creative, like building benches and sharing bio food and all these things. You know, this is in Warsaw, in Poland. It's kind of a informal floating structure, roof, canopy. It's made of balloons, nicely designed, and creating kind of psychological space to house little events in public park. I think we can skip. So this is I was just quoting the City of Munich officer. This is a competition that was initiated by City of Munich for young architects and urban planners and landscape designers. They just teamed up in multidisciplinary teams, and they were just trying to imagine the future of the city. What should Munich look like so that they would like to stay in Munich and live there all their lives? So they brought up many interesting visions. The agropolis, yeah, that's the self-sustainable agricultural production within the city boundaries. And a project by Aldo Cibic, that's the campus in the fields that combines, it's planned nearby Venice. It combines residential settlements and agricultural landscape of people working in high technologies, and that is energetically independent and self-sufficient. It's a fusion of agriculture, tourism, and new technologies. So there are what is now happening in the cities are new alliances between different partners that were not easy to imagine before. We are only starting these new partnerships now between private investors and public administration. Yeah, there are many projects and spaces that are trying to combine in an interesting way the quality of the public space that is being traded with private investors for some. There's a try to make new deals. This is a shopping center. The land was given to or sold to the private investor under the condition that he will also build a bus terminal for public transportation. It's in southern Bohemia, south of the Czech Republic. This is the railway station, and this used to be a bus terminal, but old one. And the developer just built 2 floors of a shopping mall, and on the roof invested public facility. It somehow creates a very new alliance, because this was something that was not possible to in the past. Nobody could imagine something like this, that it's invested by private investor, but the services provided on the roof are public, and actually both sides benefit from this partnership. The people who are commuting to the city, they are just when they are returning back home in the evening, they are just shopping in this shopping center. In the same time, the city got a public bus terminal for free in very downtown kind of position. The quality of public space around these shopping centers sometimes is very high, but also it's a big question. What is this space? What is this space? It's you can see that some shopping centers are quite ambitious. That's in Jihlava, it's a small town in Czech Republic, designed by, I could say, high-end, minimalistic Czech architects in kind of avant-garde tradition. And it looks like it's perfect design, it's very nice, but you can see in the reflections very, very close to the historical center of the town. It's draining all the businesses from the historical streets. So it's very dangerous for this microeconomical networks. In the same time, the entrance, the big entrance for the suppliers, for trucks to deliver stuff into the shopping center was facing family house of one of the local residents, and he was opposing it. And from the very beginning, and through media and through demonstrations, and he really activated locals to oppose it, but at the end he was not successful, and at the day of the opening he strangled himself in the entrance of the shopping center. So I think that's the responsibility of architects for this. It's difficult to pardon these things. This is also a different kind of, I would say, semi-public space. It's private gallery in downtown Prague in former industrial area, and it's kind of a urban promenade, architectural promenade. It's kind of public space you can enter easily and walk through this, enjoy contemporary art, and these are conversions of former industrial buildings that are being used as galleries and multifunctional spaces. These panels could be moved to one side, and you can use it as a concert hall. And the street in between is being used by 4 different programs. So these are examples of the new images, yeah, that are being somehow created, that are possibly attractive for residents. Yeah. When we speak about public space, it's very difficult not to speak about mobility. Yeah, mobility is a key issue in planning, and the way you move around the city and the mode of transportation you choose yourself every day is actually, that's the way how you draw the future of the city. It's how you influence the size of the city, the width of streets. It's actually every user of the city is actually urban planner at the end. This is the kind of very famous experiment that was done in Münster in Germany. There's the same group of people, same number of people on all images, and you can see how much space is taken by vehicles if all of them come individually by their own individual cars, if they all come by one bus, and if they all come by on individual bicycles. You can see that the enormous space that is taken by cars is really blowing the city to the size that is not walkable anymore, and that's maybe something that ends up in an image that is, for me, as for European, from a kind of historical city, is too difficult to accept as an example of a higher life quality. I don't know if this kind of space is appealing to me or if it's appealing to any one of you, but yeah, it's not the way I want to spend my life, definitely. Yeah. Of course, these kind of housings are here all over in the United States. Yeah, it's a completely different perspective on how to live and how to share the space, how to share amenities, how to use the public space. But I must say that this is something that I don't have experience with too much, and of course, in terms of sustainability and energetic kind of consumption and all the social aspects, I don't find it that it's a good plan for all the global population. Yeah, it seems like it's really very problematic. J.H. Crawford, author of Carefree Cities, proves that today cars are generally recognized as a cause of many intractable problems in urban life. The carpet growth of suburbs leads to extended settlements into vast areas that used to be farmlands. The noise and danger brought by cars has damaged social systems because, thanks to cars, and streets have become places where it's not pleasant for people to meet. Furthermore, cars damage the global ecosystem. In cities where personal transport depends mainly on cars, mobility has actually decreased. If we are to solve the crisis of urban transportation, we have to offer excellent public transport. The low quality of public transport in most cities comes from 4 false and easily solved assumptions. Passengers have to pay fares. There are not enough seats for everyone in rush hour. It's usually uncomfortable, and driving a car is faster than taking public transport. Cities of highways force people to drive cars or be stuck in poverty. According to Sudich, a successful city has a public transport system that is easy to use, and unsuccessful city tries to ban cars. So it's a matter of choice. Yeah? It's important to give people choice. It's not about banning using cars, but to give maybe better choice. This is the critical mass riot in Prague. This 2008. It's pretty old already. You can see this is one of the thoroughfares through Prague, the main one, and it becomes really political issue in a city. It's not only, the bicycle is not only a transportation mean, it's a political tool. It's actually urban planning tool. This is a pajama bike ride in Brno. Yeah, it's a kind of another community event, and this is one of the largest critical mass bike rides in Europe. It's in Budapest. Yeah, Budapest it's Hungary. Yeah, and this symbol of just holding your bicycle. It's really a kind of political act. We discussed public transportation. Yeah, that's many cities implement really, I would say, state-of-the-art design, beautifully designed streetcars, buses, metro lines that are supposed to attract passengers, and not only passengers, because you have also cargo trams. Yeah, this cargo tram that is serving a factory in downtown German city of Dresden, because a lot of goods has to be delivered by trucks in cities. All these networks are actually connected with regional trains, and the system of fares and tickets and prepaid cards is designed in a way that people are really encouraged, to use public transportation that is usually subsidized or always subsidized from public budgets and funds as a tool of political decision. This is a typical tram in Czech Republic. It's designed by Porsche. It's not Porsche, as you can see, but it's designed by Porsche. These are like these typical buses. It's low floored. You can enter barrier-free. It really speeds up all the transportation and the stops. So commuter trains. There is a huge network of these S-Bahns, from Germany and other countries in Europe. So it's very easy to commute from other nearby cities by these trains. Usually, not in Czech Republic yet, but I've been to Baltic states. And last summer, you have a Wi-Fi everywhere. You have electric plugs. It's very easy to work. If you want, you save a lot of time instead of driving. All around the world, attractive and flourishing cities pay attention to sustainable development, and the health of their citizens is characterized by the systematic development of pedestrian transport. Are we prepared for a walking renaissance trend? This is the image from downtown Brno. That's again posing question if we can really walk. Yeah, all of us probably thought that we can walk from really early childhood, but it's really difficult in our cities where some of these drivers are not very disciplined and are parking and creating barriers for pedestrians. It's very difficult to move around then. Yeah, this typical image from Central Europe. So there is a whole new agenda how to create networks of pathways through the cities, so that these barriers would be removed and people could easily use the streets just for walking. Yeah, so there's a general plan for these walkways. Also, the space around the roads need special attention, because, of course, people commute to the city from faraway distances, and it's kind of a public space of its kind that is lining these roads. So the design, planting trees and taking care about design. This is a little bit funny, but you can see plants being planted on crossings. Just kind of beautification of the public space around the roads. Yeah. Of course, when you are on the highway, you are in completely different speed and scale of the city, so it has to be accommodated. This is a former infrastructure place that's a former air base for NATO in Germany, in Frankfurt am Main. It was turned into public park. This military base was closed down, and runways are just became a super popular skating spot. And the asphalts were just broken with hammer and turned into kind of a wildlife reserve. The attention to the detail, that's another issue. Danish architect Jan Gehl says, the battle for quality is won or lost in a small scale. Details are a decisive factor in the utility of outdoor spaces. If we pay sufficient attention to details in public spaces, it will give these spaces a better chance to be functional and popular. However, if we incorporate details carelessly or completely leave them out, we will inevitably lose the fight. This is a project for placing art pieces all around the city of Liberec in northern Bohemia. And these artists are asked to create pieces of art that could be also used as a street furniture. So this is a bus stop, for example. Yeah, the people can wait for bus here, and there are symbols of the city on the table. It's made of copper. Yeah. These are interventions in a public park where just passers-by are invited to participate in a workshop to create an informal space for culture in the middle of the town, and creating kind of auditorium where in the evening there are many. It's very, I would say, low-cost way how to involve residents and community into cultural events. These are little artistic interventions. It's the Sculptures in the Streets project, also in Brno. Contemporary artists were invited to do some little art pieces that would actually be inspired by the city. So actually this wall is one of these pieces. This artist just wanted to test what will happen if he will just build wall across one of the main pedestrian streets in downtown Brno. This is right after construction, but you could have seen it maybe after. You should see it at the end, because it was all painted. There was many inscriptions and drawings on it, and there was a lot of interaction. Yeah, I think he provoked people who are just passing through this street, and got very interesting feedback at the end. So are other interventions. This was another project by a local artist. She just asked residents of different minorities living in the city to become guides for the other residents, and so that they could guide them and show them the places they like the most in the city. So it created completely different mental maps of the people who really live all their lives in the city, but they just got completely different perspective of the places. I think this is these are some examples of little projects that are initiated by young architects in Slovakia, in Bratislava. They are just giving these projects for free to the public for discussion, and they organized an exhibition that is called Urban Interventions. It was called Urban Interventions. They just picked spots in the city that they see problematic, and they just created little ideas, interventions, how these places could be redesigned, and created an exhibition and attracted media attention and attention of politicians at the end. So this is the old bridge in Bratislava turned into kind of a Highline Park. Yeah. This is a project by Elach van Ooyen, a Dutch activist. She just came with an idea that big boards should be taken away from public buildings and instead of them, trees should be planted. Actually, it seems like a very idealistic project, but that's exactly what happened 2 years ago in city of Grenoble in France. This is the pavilion where projects were exhibited in very downtown. It was really, again, done as a bottom-up initiative, so-called balík or package pavilion. And some of these little interventions were even realized. This is just a little intervention in the public buses terminal in downtown of Bratislava, just painted and just making public transportation more attractive, attract attention to it. This is the picnic ground in the center of Prague, in the piazzetta that is just stone paved, and it's very hot in summer because all this stone just is accumulating sun during the day. So they just came with an idea to build a lawn for one season so that people could picnic in the downtown of Prague. So there's the poster for the city interventions. Many people are attracted to see this. Public engagement in some places is incorporated in the legislation, but public participation in solving most of the public administration problems is based on the awareness and willingness of the public administration to implement and support such activities. These activities were basically not connected with the political leadership or with administration of the cities. They were just separated. There are activists here, and there is political representation, and there is no communication in between. So these were the first. So these are different projects from urban interventions, and this actually as a kind of a model spread to other cities all around the region. Yeah. So this was in Praha, this is in Brno, and it was in Bratislava, and now there are about 20 cities where this project part is actually the swing. You see the swing here is the highest swing in the world probably. Yeah, it's just suspended from a bridge in downtown Praha. It's very and this is a public toilet. It's dry toilet, yeah, with green roof, but it has excellent view, panoramatic view of Prague. It's illegal construction, of course. Yeah, it's illegal. Yeah. So it's urban gardening. This is something that is just bringing the theme of temporary use, because some of the empty lots could not be invested immediately. Does it mean that we should leave them vacant or empty? I think not. If it's in a very good locality, you can just start to revitalize, and it can bring a lot of good to the community. And so this is one of the first community gardens. If you go to Berlin, you have just tons of these, and of course you have to have a coffee there, and it's a very pleasant way how to bring community and families together. It's not much about vegetable at the end, because not much things can grow there maybe, but people just love it. These are gardens and parks being built in Germany, in some of these cities that are facing actually this decrease of population. So children from kindergartens are invited to plant their own trees in these parks, so that they just build I would say, individual relationship to the site and to the place, to the town, and they just care about these plants, and so it's a kind of a tool of social action. There are NGOs that are even giving funds to building of public spaces in small towns and villages, but they give this money only if the community is involved and if it's community-driven project. Yeah, this is very important, because in communist time, everything was given for free, and then it was stolen next day, and or it was just damaged or destroyed, because people haven't seen the value of the things. And in this case, the participation is that you just get the funds, but the fathers of the families just have to build a park themselves, and this really becomes a community project. You see that people really love to dispute over the design and what should be placed where and why and how many benches and so on. This is a project from Linz, Austria, that has a lot of immigration from former Yugoslavia, for example, because of the Yugoslav war. And these projects to build, for example, playgrounds for children are very important tool for building kind of a new identity for these immigrants. They just get together and build. The fathers just basically with their own hands are building these playgrounds. There is a whole network of NGOs that are helping people to face, I would say, even more complicated cases. The bigger developers are bringing. So the hypermarkets or big shopping malls sometimes are not very welcome by local residents, and there are NGOs who are giving them support, these public advocacy firms that just give them, help them with the law, kind of law advices and so on advices on law. Demonstrations in the public space. That's definitely a good tool how to provoke some action, and many artists today, contemporary artists, do also kind of political urban interventions. Some of them are very subtle. This is a group Loudvi from Prague. It's one of these biggest again modernistic projects. And they just repaired these little plants or in all that are showing orientation plans for the housing project, and painted it and repaired. That's all, and put the glass. This is a little box of chalks on the playground, just a little intervention, or just making the bus stop. As you see, the bus stop is not very nice design, but just making it more nice with adhesive tapes. This is just prefabricated hanger for a laundry that was placed all over these residential housing projects, and is not used at all or anymore, because the lines are not there. People maybe like to dry at home, and they are lazy to come down, and so they, with the idea that it's actually quite important community facility, they just put it back, these lines. Of course, these little interventions don't remain very long. These lines were there only for 2 weeks, and then it was broken again. Some interventions are testing the public space even, I would say, more guerrilla way. This is a fence that was built illegally in the center of square. That is the only space in Czech Republic where you can demonstrate or you can actually say whatever you want. It's kind of a Hyde Park model. Yeah, you can just come here and you can say your opinion on anything you want, without any need for permission. You can make a manifestation, demonstration. And this activist or artist just built a fence illegally, and he was waiting what will happen. Yeah, he just thought that people will notice it. There is a metro station just down here. There is a tram. There is quite heavy pedestrian traffic over the square. So he was waiting one day, and he thought, now they will come. There will be some reaction to it. He was waiting another day, and 3 days, and week, and 2 weeks, and 3 weeks. And after 3 months, he got really nervous that nobody noticed this intervention, and just went to the city council and asked, what is it for, and who did it, and he made just a whole video interview and presented this interview at the exhibition under the title "To Whom Does the City Belong?" basically. Yeah. These modernistic settlements, there are also new, I would say, activities, cultural activities that are reviving the social life. Yeah. This, according to Elias Engel, is the biggest problem, is how to resuscitate the city instead of encouraging escape from it. How to resuscitate the city is as a domain of the public realm, for a society of the collective. Zengelis cites the British architect Martin Pauly, who wrote The Private Future, and he ended with a prophecy that we would end up being wired up electronically, self-sufficient and autonomous in our private worlds. The mission is accomplished. We live in the private present. From the point of view of architecture, I believe that we need to resuscitate the idea of the common with a common architectural language. There are architects who are working specifically with this modernistic housing projects, this mass housing. You can see that this is a house that is not very attractive, but this is the same house after refurbishment, redesign. You can see that it has 4 floors, and this has actually 6 floors. So some of these panels were taken down. It's prefab buildings were taken down. Yes, so the scale of the settlement changed to more, I would say, human scale, where these gardens added so that there is more social control of the entrances to the houses and kind of a buffer between the public street and semi-private and private space. There are all these balconies and terraces added as kind of steel structures attached to the facade, extending the floor like the quality of apartments. This is a bigger project from Paris, done by Anne Lacaton and Jean Vassal. Just was finished 2 years ago. Again, it was a big social block. It was turned into, I would say, very nice apartment house. These are these existing blocks, and network, actually a structure of little smaller scale buildings was added to the empty spaces in between. This is the kitchen as it was before, and this is the kitchen after some facade panels were taken out. These are the shared spaces in the ground floors of these houses. And in some of these mass housing projects, blocks are even housing public institutions. Yeah, this is the former studio atelier of artist photographer in Poland, in Warsaw, and his atelier on the top floor of the house was turned into a little museum, so you can enter the block and take elevator to this space. And in here there is a screen that has a projection in the night, so you can see the images of his photographs from the street all the night. Some of these projects are being also made attractive with, say, thermal insulated, like they are thermally insulated, and at the same time there are new color schemes added. It's like some new type of apartments are added, so that the people would find these settlements more attractive, yeah, so that they wouldn't turn into ghettos. Yeah. Some very good Czech architects are working on public spaces in between these blocks. Again, kind of informal way, little playgrounds, underground parking, so that the cars are not all over, and making the little river more accessible. So the quality of living in housing estates today is generally considered to be unsatisfactory. Yet the houses themselves have considerable positive potential. Their location, construction, and spatial arrangement are good starting points toward achieving substantial improvements of apartments. Actually, these, because of the high density of population, these were the spots that got the fastest internet very early, because it was very easy for these communication firms to bring really broadband cables, and so it has some advantages as well. When we speak about the tissue of the urban tissue, we have to speak about public institutions. Yeah, this is the city of Budapest, kind of socially problematic, underinvested neighborhood, and some of these former factories or warehouses are being turned into community centers, so that the population could get a chance of some free time activities, education, diverse courses, and this could actually increase the quality of life in these neighborhoods. There are like little starting points. According to Juhani Palasma, instead of disparaging and disgracing their neighbors of lesser value, profound buildings always improve their context and give even commonplace settings an enhanced significance. Most often, the overall quality and integrity of the environment has a higher value than individual foreground buildings. That's a big criticism of iconic buildings. You know, the answer just says this open discussion of the edifice complex. This is the opposite approach, very subtle, incorporated into the existing city, and actually not competing with the existing city. This is the famous example of idea stores from London by David Ajaye, buildings that are built as wooden structures, very, I would say, low cost, serving local communities in, again, socially with problematic neighborhoods of London. It's just located next to the metro station. Only luxurious and expensive part is this escalator, because he says if you want to bring public to the second floor, you really need to make it comfortable. Yeah, and why to the second floor? Because there were existing grocery stores on the ground floor, and it was built as a bridge over these existing grocery stores that are actually traditional spots for people to meet and shop, and so that it's actually enriching the existing. Yeah, it's not replacing the existing. Yeah. What is a big theme as well is social housing. Yeah, social housing is something that has a lot of long tradition in Europe. This is subsidized housing that is again. The budget is very limited. This is an example from Budapest, social housing designed by Peter Kish. You can see these bridges. Yeah, all the magazines published these bridges, and architects were taken away by very nice space created by this. But the only reason for building these bridges was that there were two buildings, and what is the most expensive to build is the elevator. So the elevator is just in one building, and the other building is connected by bridges. Yeah. This is social housing from Slovenia. It's on the Adriatic Sea. Again, very small apartments, but it's very nice loggias. So these loggias, they create really a high quality of the space. But apartments itself and communal spaces in these houses are super minimal. It's very, I would say, non-expensive materials being used. And this, again, social housing. It's from Eindhoven. It's a project that has, again, super small apartments. But what the architects thought about is that the best quality of this location is a view. It's located in a greenery in park. So they say, of course, these social apartments, there are these limitations and restrictions on the square meters, but what we can offer these people are the beautiful views. So they really invested in expensive facade, yeah, that is a kind of added value and makes it very attractive. One would not guess it's a social housing at all. It's quite famous project by Lacaton Fazal from Bordeaux, using this you see that's a kind of industrial prefab structure of concrete trusses that is super cheap because normally it's used for huge halls and logistic parks and light steel structure for the top floor. And so they say, okay, the structure will be very simple and very basic, but this money we save on the structure, we can invest into more space we give to the people. Yeah. So all these huge terraces are made possible only because they saved money on the construction. There's a wooden structure from Sweden and so on and so on. These are public institutions. It's also a very big topic. You were mentioning the David Chipperfield's public library in Des Moines. That's something that is of a great importance as well. And the public space within these institutions. There's a place where people meet, and there's a student dormitory, for example, from Ljubljana, Slovenia. So this dormitory has shared kitchen between two rooms, and all these faculty buildings have really generous public spaces. This is from Brno, from Czech Republic, again, Faculty of Informational Technology. This is the Norman Foster's library in Berlin, Freie University, Free University. This library from Hradec Králové in Bohemia, and this Justice Palace, Palace of Justice in Austria by Drindel architects. It has also a prison. This is a meditation room in a prison, and this is a prison courtyard. The special public space of its kind is also our cemeteries. This is a park cemetery in Slovenia by Aleš Vodopivec. What is important for us is also that these public institutions are being designed on the basis of selection procedures that bring best projects. Yeah? So it means these libraries or city halls or stadiums, we believe should be designed on the basis of public competitions. This is the new National Technical Library in Prague that was built as a winning scheme from public competition. It's it's in the middle of the campus of the Technical University, where also the architecture faculty actually is, and it's very popular with students. Yeah, it's exposed concrete, I would say, very nice architecture. And this new faculty of chemistry and technology in Pardubice, again, was based on architecture competition. New faculty of nature sciences faculty in Olomouc. So these are other examples of architecture competitions we have, and we are trying to support. Yeah, there is a big struggle again, because not all clients are willing to they see it a little bit hazardous maybe to go into competition, because they are kind of losing control what the winning scheme will be, or they feel like they would lose control. But sometimes in this moment, I think that there is an increasing number of open architecture competitions and urban planning competitions. When we speak about the awareness of public about design and urban planning and architecture, we should not forget about education. Yeah? We don't have any architectural classes in kindergartens or grammar schools or even high schools. It's very difficult to understand because most of us live in cities. Most of us are redesigning their apartments or just moving to a house or so. So most of the people actually face the need of some basic knowledge about space and materials and light but it's not being taught. So there are special programs. This is from France, from Grenoble, where they have they somehow ask students to take courses at the university that are teaching them how to speak about architecture with general public or with the people on community, and they are developing kind of experimental programs for kids to discuss architectural issues. They can even build a city together and discuss if there should be a square or public space in the middle, and who wants to be neighbor with whom, and what should be on the square, what are the public functions, and so on. The already advanced students, they are going to excursions to different exhibitions to see realizations or this exhibition of sustainable architecture in Grenoble, or they go to construction sites. They just meet with project managers on construction sites, and then they see how the city is actually being built. They go to construction or urban planning departments of municipalities and discuss how these cities are being planned. This is one of the bike rides through construction sites in Brno that actually we organized so that the public would learn about these processes. It's quite popular, and there is a whole. I would say there are many programs now going in this direction, and the Ministry of Education is starting to be very interested to cooperate with the Chamber of Architects now to develop these programs. So there is a network of kind of consultation centers that are run usually by NGOs that promote discussion over urban topics and architectural topics. This is in Budapest, for example, KEK, the Center for Contemporary Architecture. This is in Brno, 4am, Forum for Architecture. This is in Katowice, it's Poland, Archibar. There's a bar where you can have a cocktail, Zaha did, or Corbusier, and you can discuss architecture. And there are many, I would say, collaboration projects happening and discussions. Of course, that the city today is not just limited by its boundaries, because we have so many economical and cultural relations and connections to the outer world, to other cities, other countries, other continents, through the population and trade relationships, that you cannot really limit yourselves to the only one city where you live. There's a rising awareness. I saw also at your school that there are studios dealing with projects for developing world. That is kind of a big trend now. So these are projects for Nepal and Mozambique by Czech architects and students of architecture. There are like design-build projects with locals. There's a school, for example, grammar school in Africa. These are post-tsunami projects for Sri Lanka. And this is a kind of a solar school in Nepal, in Tibet, in Nepal, by Czech NGO. Now I'm coming to the very final part of this talk. It's the activity of our NGO. It's reSITE. We just came into this situation. Our colleague Martin Berry from New York, a landscape designer, he just came for Fulbright grant to Prague 3 years ago. And he saw the situation in Eastern Europe, and he was a little bit stressed by the fact that the urban planning in this part of the world is very traditional and is limited to, I would say, very architectural view of things, disregarding the urban economy or social aspects of building cities and landscape design and so on and so on. And he founded reSITE as a open platform for ideas, for sharing ideas on developing cities. The core question or main question is how can we catalyze the 21st century livable city? Livability is, I think, that's the highest quality we are trying to achieve. That's the ultimate goal of what, as we architects, probably want to achieve, or what we want, why we do what we do. Cities need to be cool and green to be competitive. Design the city for people first, so people-centered cities. Young generation is the infinite resource of Central and Eastern European cities, that's for sure. More people on streets, more return on investment. And our main goal is bridge the gap between design, policy, finance, and community. That's the missing link between these actions, little actions you saw. Everybody's doing something, but nobody is cooperating. So we are bringing interesting urban planners, architects, and thinkers, politicians, activists from all over the region, all Europe and also United States. And we are asking how to redesign our cities so that they would be more livable. What can architecture and urbanism do for Europe? Winnie Maas from MVRDV, famous, I would say, very good Dutch studio, is asking at our conference. 2 years ago, we had also Enrique Peñalosa, who brought very revolutionary transportation schemes for Bogota some 5 years ago, and is now advisor for City of New York on public transportation. We are also bringing people from Eastern Germany, for example, that are facing who are facing a reduction of population, and they are just now trying to revitalize centers of these towns that are somehow abandoned. So they are testing this. They are testing experimenting in a one-to-one scale. This is architecture built again from beer crates, and trying to create public spaces that are addressing needs or answering the needs of local communities. I think this participation of people, it's also very new, because used to be very top-down in communist time, and people are not very active, or they are only starting to learn how to be active. Yeah? And the open discussion is a very important tool how to learn, how to voice your opinions, and people are only learning this. Yeah. So after testing little cultural events in the public space, it was built in real, and many things are being discussed also in public spaces. So we initiated public discussions in Charles Square. It's the biggest public it's a space in central Prague, and different architects are just speaking on accessibility, on urban planning policies, and we initiated also a workshop for students of our architecture institute, Archip in Prague. We were designing kind of a a kind of a portable pavilion that would be transformable and could adapt to different environments, and could become a laboratory for developing new models of urban development, urban planning. This is Cecile Balmont from London, from Balmont Studio, who was tutoring our workshop, and this was the winning scheme. Actually, it is being now further developed with the team, with the Balmont Studio together, and in this moment. The political situation in Prague in this last period, it's actually changed quite significantly, because some young politicians came into the operation and into these functions, and they started to cooperate with NGOs. That was very new. They just approached NGOs and just said, we have the same goal. Let's not fight against each other. Let's not only criticize each other. Let's try to cooperate and find and direct our energy into and work together. So this is our mayor. Yeah, he's about the same age as I am, and we are just discussing. He just created this sounding board. Kimberly was actually mentioning, and this board of experts is discussing issues of development of Prague together. There are about 50 experts meeting once in a month or once in 2 months. The reSITE conference actually grew up into a really bigger event. This is our last year conference. So there are about 700 professionals, architects, politicians, investors, developers in the audience, and 50 international speakers on the podium. It's a 2-day event, and it really became one of the I'd say in Central Europe is the biggest platform for exchange of the best practice. This is the mayor of Prague opening our conference, and some of our speakers. This is from the last year. Edvard Glazer is the author of the book Triumph of the City. It's a very American kind of approach. It was very interesting for me to read about the history of diverse different American cities, why some of the cities are actually developing fast and some of the cities are dying, like Detroit, for example. So Michael Kimmelman was one of our distinguished speakers last year as well, architecture critic from New York Times. Adrian Heus, founder of West 8 Rotterdam studio, the author of beautiful urban neighborhoods in Rotterdam and Amsterdam. Michel Devigne, I would say a leading landscape designer from France, who's working with Herzog de Meuron and many other top, had a great lecture, definitely. Sándor Finta, chief architect of Budapest. Yeah, so we have many chief architects and heads of planning institutes from capital cities of all over the region. We have sociologists, we have representatives of very diverse group of the population of contemporary cities. This year we want to expand even further to Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, and Serbia. We just applied for a bigger grant. It's a Creative Europe grant. So there are 11 partners from 5 countries. So it seems like it could be ideal. It seems like ideal situation to maybe start discussion on developing of the cities, but it's not that ideal as it looks like. In the last elections that were on the autumn, this young mayor actually lost, and there we have a new mayor that is not into the urban planning agenda very much, and actually it's a woman mayor, and she did some actions that we don't really appreciate, so we had to go out to the streets. So this is our demonstration in front of the city hall in Prague. So one day you are in the room with the mayor, and next day you are on the street in front of the city hall. So these are the up and downs of trying to influence livability agenda in the cities. But the vice mayor, who is from the Green Party, is on our side somehow. And his position is not very strong in the city government, but he really understands what are the qualities of city development, what is the importance of proper urban planning. And I just got a text message from him yesterday here in Ames that he invited me to a council advisory board for the city of Prague for public spaces. So I'm really curious what's going to happen now, because with the new mayor I cannot really imagine it, but that's an ongoing story. Yeah. So thank you very much for now. Yeah, I think it was just very short overview what's happening, and I would be happy to answer some of your questions. Yeah.
Yeah. So hang on, we're gonna take some questions. Some of them are gonna run off.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna see if this feedbacks. No, okay. So I'm gonna use this mic. Osamu still has his mic on. So I'm gonna stand away from you. So are there questions? I know you guys are ready to go, but let's spend a few minutes. We have a chance to ask Osamu anything that you want, so bring it on.
Is there somebody who visited like Central Europe already, or
Kevin.
not really? Not really. Yeah. But is it very different from what you experience here, like the problems in urban space? I don't know how many of you are from some towns or bigger cities, but is it very different from what you just experienced, or is it completely the same? I visited some of the studios, and we were discussing about cycling or agenda, and about public transportation, and about urban gardening, and I thought, okay, it's pretty the same, no? It's not such a difference between. Yeah.
Kevin.
I think I visited Prague in 2004 and again in 2012, and I was shocked at the intensification of the economic growth.
So hang on, I'm going to repeat that for the video.
Yeah.
So Kevin is saying that he was in Prague in 2004 and 2012, and he was shocked at the difference in economic development in those years.
And so the question is, I think you all had the floodgates closed for so long, and suddenly opened in the 90s, and you all were exuberant with freedom.
Yeah.
And now you're almost stopping yourselves with so much economic freedom. So,
Yeah.
So what do you do about it?
So Kevin is asking, it seems like with the communist period, everything was closed down, and then the floodgates opened in the 90s, and everyone kind of rushed towards development, and now there seems to be a sense of self, to kind of slow things down and think it through a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, the situation is that we actually were very happy to the market economy to come, because we believed that it will be there will be some kind of self-regulation of the development, that people would just buy the things that are of high quality, and the developers would just build these things of high quality because people would want them. Yeah, but it only turned out later in a decade that the developers are not actually delivering a high quality city, but they are basically their main goal is to make a profit, and the people are not maybe demanding higher quality because they really don't know what they could ask for, and because they didn't have a knowledge, and they didn't have real experience with different ways or models of living or spaces or public spaces. So they were just served very mediocre, I would say, housing or projects, and so it ended up like that. Actually, what Rostislav Švacha, that is one of the major architectural theoreticians, he said, "I myself have long considered our housing estates to be a great architectural tragedy, the modernist ones from communist time. I thought that nothing worse could be built. But the emergence of the nouveau rich Beverly Hills around every bigger Czech city, their poor architecture and unreasonable waste of space, not to mention their other sins, have made me look more kindly on the housing estates. I learned to distinguish their quality. I also started to criticize contemporary architects, with a few honorable exceptions, for their utter lack of interest in this huge problem." So it means that what was built after the communism turned out to be even worse than what the communists designed and built, as for the spatial quality, urban quality, and so on. So I think the total freedom that was given to, I would say, entrepreneurs, developers, investors, ended up in complete mistrust and in these free market forces, and the architecture community, politicians, they just started to act in the direction that there is a need some regulation, control, planning, proper planning, again, and we are just trying to find new ways how to do it. The old land use plan from the communist time that is still in operation in Prague, it's being renewed in certain periods, like every 5 years. In the last moment, when the people were asked for comments, there was 10,000 comments coming, and all the process actually got jammed or just collapsed because the city administration was not able to process these comments. So and from then the new planning institution was established in Prague. Most interesting and the best educated urban planners were invited. For example, the new building regulations for City of Prague were now written by the graduate from ETH from Zurich, Czech urban planner, and so this is actually this demonstration you see on the picture is dealing with the new planning regulations. So there are new tools, new legislations just being written now and put into operation.
Early in your lecture, you talked about the depopulation of the city centers as well as the depopulation of the countryside into the suburban rim. All of these interventions that you're talking about in these experiments, are they also stimulating a kind of new urban pioneer people who are choosing to come back into the city centers and repopulate it as a result of some of these interventions?
So I'm going to repeat that question. So at the beginning of the lecture, Osamu talked about the depopulation of the countryside and people moving to suburbs. And Mark is asking if these interventions and these changes in the city are encouraging some of those people instead to actually move back into the city instead of into the suburban ring.
Yeah. I think there is a really bigger move now from suburbs back to the city. Because the commuting is really becoming a problem. There is a very limited, the highways are very limited, and there is not maybe enough funds to build new highways, luckily maybe. So there are really big traffic jams in the rush hours on these roads coming to Prague, and people are starting to realize that this is not what they expected, and also facilities and services in these suburbs are very poor. So they have to drive children to the school to downtown Prague. Most of them work in downtown Prague. So this is I think the main reason that they find that it's not very attractive to stay in these neighborhoods in these suburbs. There's no culture, no education, there is nothing. And so they are really moving back, but they don't want to move back to the city as it was before. They want to move to the city 2.1 or 2 point something that is already upgraded, that has really is safe, that is beautiful, has a lot of parks and has a lot of nice cafes, and it's walkable and not polluted. So this is really happening now. This is really happening now, and the urban culture is taking really. There's a big move. It's for sure. It's not fashionable at all now to go to the suburb. No.
Okay, I'm going to end us here because I know some of you want to go. If you have any more questions, well, first I want to thank Osamu and thank all of you for staying.
Thank you.
We have time for anybody to come down and talk more one-on-one with Osamu, so I encourage you to do that, and have a great night.